All right. Oh, of course it does. Okay, so before we start with the composites, we're going to do the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing again, but again, we're finding values of these functions instead of using the entire function. So we have f of x is equal to x squared plus 5, and we have g of x is equal to the square root of x minus 3. So we're going to start by finding the sum of f and g when x equals 12. So you can do these two ways. You can either take the original functions and add them and then plug 12 in, or what seems to be a little easier is taking that 12, the number in parentheses, plug it into f and work it out, plug it into g and work it out, and then add the results together, okay? So that's the way I'm going to do it just because it's a little easier. You don't have to worry about adding the variables and like terms and all that stuff. So we're going to start with f, and where there is an x, I'm going to plug in a 12. So it's going to be 12 squared plus 5, and that's the f function. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the g. Bless you. Where there is an x, I'm going to plug in a 12. And then whatever results I get from those, I'm going to then add together. So what is 12 squared? 144, and 144 plus 5 would be 149. Okay. And then if I do the square root of 12 minus 3, what is 12 minus 3? 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So we're going to add those two results together, and that would give me a value of 152. Is everybody kind of okay with that? All right, so try 2. The same concept, except this time when you get the results of each, you're going to subtract instead of add because it says f minus g. Again, you could actually take the function f and g and subtract them and then plug the 4 in. However, I find it's easier to do them individually and then subtract the results. All right, so 4 is in my parentheses, so I'm going to take 4, and I'm going to put it in place of x into the f function. I'm going to put it in place of x into the g function, and then I'm going to subtract the results. 4 squared plus 5 would give me how much? 21. And then 4 minus 3 is 1, and the square root of 1 is just 1. So I'm going to go 21 minus 1, which gives me a value of 20. A little bit easier than the stuff we did yesterday? Yeah. Okay. All right, same concept with these two, except for we're multiplying and dividing. I'm going to write the functions on the board. And I didn't write them twice. So you're going to do this the same way you did with the adding, subtracting. Do each one individually. And then for 3, you would multiply the results. And for 4, you would divide the results. All right, so for number 3, I'm going to take 7 and plug it into f, so 7 squared plus 5. And then I'm going to take it and plug it into g. So that's going to be 49 plus 5, which is 54. 7 minus 3 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. And so that would give me 108. Is everybody okay with that one? All right, and then the same thing for number 4. We're going to plug 4 in. Four squared plus 5 is 21. 4 minus 3 is 1. Square root of that is 1. And if I divide 21 divided by 1, I just get 21. So you can add and subtract and multiply your divide your functions and actually find the value of them. Like I said, you could do the functions first and then plug it in, but it is easier to plug it in first and then add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Everybody okay with this? All right, 2 new functions, and this time we are actually going to find the value of composite functions. They're writing these a little different than yesterday, but I'll show you how they are the same. Two new functions. F of x is x squared minus 7. G of x is 5 minus x squared. And number 5 says we're finding the function, the value of f of g of 1. And so how that's similar to the way we wrote it yesterday is if we wrote it in the same way as we did yesterday, we would put f of g and then 1 would be in the parenthesis. Okay, so it's the same thing, it's just written differently. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start in the middle. Okay, you know how parentheses, you always start inside and work your way out? So what I want you to do first is find this. Okay, find the value of your g function when x is 1. Okay, we always start on the inside and we work our way out, just like with regular parentheses. So what I want you to do is I want you to plug in 1 into the g function and simplify that out. So I'm just going to come over to the side. 5 minus 1 squared. What is 1 squared? And 5 minus 1 gives me 4. So what we do now is we take that number, we take away this g of 1, and we find f of 4. Find out what g of 1 is. Plug it in, work it out. Whatever that result is, you're going to then plug into the outside function. And it went away again, didn't it? Is everybody okay with where I got 4 from? And then again, we're going to take that 4 and we're going to plug it into the f function now. So it's going to be 4 squared minus 7. That's going to be 16 minus 7, which gives me a value of 9. And 9 is going to be my final answer. I don't use the 4 as part of my final answer. That 4 is just how I got there. So if you will, please try number 6. Again, start your way. Start on the inside and work your way out. And it's f of g of negative 2 is what we're finding. F of g of negative 2. So start your way on the inside. Find g of negative 2. And then whatever result you get from that, we're going to plug it into f. And I've got the functions written on the board since I had to slide up and can't see them anymore. Be careful with this one when you're plugging that -2 into your G function. The -2 in its entirety is squared. Some people will make mistakes with this because they'll plug in that -2, and because it's a minus, they'll try to make it positive. Okay, so again, we're starting on the inside and working our way out. So we're going to find the value of this first. And so when I do that, it is going to be 5 minus that -2 is in parentheses because it has to be squared before I can actually do my subtraction. So I'm going to keep the 5. I'm going to keep the minus sign. What is -2 squared? 4, right? So that doesn't turn into 5 plus 4. It stays 5 minus 4. This negative right here with the 2 is getting squared. So therefore it turns positive. So that minus sign stays. And that's going to give me just 1. And then I'm going to take that 1. I'm going to take away that G of -2 and I'm going to replace it with what it's equal to, which is 1. And then I can plug that into my F function, which is going to be 1 squared minus 7. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 7 gives me a final value of -6. Anybody have any questions? All right. Try these two, both of them. Same two functions. I've got them written on the board, and so you can't see them. In case you didn't write them down. These are the last two. We're finding composite functions. G of f of 3 and G of f of -4. Again, start your way on the inside and work your way out. Where do I start with number 7? What do I plug in first? 3 into F. Yep, we start on the inside and we work our way out. So F again is x squared. So x is my 3 squared minus 7. So that's going to be 9 minus 7, which is 2. And then I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to plug it into the G function. And the G is 5 minus x squared. What is 2 squared? And 5 minus 4 gives me a final value of 1. Anybody have any questions? All right. And then for number 8, we're going to start, and we are going to plug in -4 for f, so -4 squared minus 7. What's -4 squared? And 16 minus 7 gives me 9. So then that f of -4 goes away. We're going to find the value of g of 9. And that is 5 minus 9 squared. So 5 minus, what is 9 squared? And 5 minus 81 gives me a final value of -76. Anybody have any questions? Definitely a lot easier than yesterday, right?